Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing today? As you all know, tomorrow is the my formal investiture, where I will start, even though I've been here for 16 months. It has been a magnificent ride with magnificent people. This whole week of events and all of the work leading up to this is really about elevating the campus, right? This is really, and at least in my opinion, it's not about inaugurating or investing in me. The real investment comes from the campus, it comes from our faculty, it comes from our staff, and it's for our students. And this is just another line, another stop in that pathway. And so I am incredibly excited to be here with all of you and to engage with all of you. Isn't this a nice venue? Pretty nice, huh? This does not happen by accident. It happens because of the hard work of some really, really dedicated staff. Where's Rachel Lubar? I got the lights in my eyes, so I can't see. Rachel, where is she? Please give Rachel a round of applause. If you knew all the work she put in to get us to this point, you would really give her a round of applause. She just done a fantastic job. I would also be remiss if I did not congratulate and recognize my leadership team, my leadership staff. I can see them. They're here. Sharon Cullen. Please give Sharon a round of applause. Liz Connor's here as well. Please give Liz. You know, the reality is you see these events, and I'm standing up here and I look good, but the reality is the reality. You know, you see a frog at the top of a flagpole, you know he didn't get there by himself. All right? So we're here today to really introduce all of you to someone who I've known probably my whole academic life. I met Calvin Mackie back as an undergraduate student. I was at NC State. Calvin was at Georgia Tech. We were both very, very active engaged in our communities and helping students be successful. And word just got to me and him simultaneously. You got to meet this guy in Georgia. He's doing just what you're doing here in North Carolina. You got to meet him. And it came to me from multiple sources. So finally, after you hear something like that over and over and over again, you go and you say, I'm going to go meet him. And so I made a trip down to Georgia Tech specifically to see Calvin, and I also applied to Georgia Tech for my PhD. I got accepted. I was heading there, and then we had some family challenges, which preceded me staying in North Carolina. But he and I remained very, very close and kept in contact ever since then. And so I've seen his life progress. I've seen him go through trials and tribulations and come out of the back end just one of the most amazing people I know. And you all will see why in a few minutes. He's an award-winning mentor, inventor, author, former engineering professor. I'm sure he'll talk to you about that. Internationally renowned speaker and successful entrepreneur. In 2013, he founded STEM NOLA, when the NOLA stands for New Orleans, Louisiana, a nonprofit organization created to expose, inspire, and engage communities in the opportunity of what's called STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. To this date, STEM NOLA has engaged more than 70,000 K-12 students in hands-on, project-based STEM activities. And in 2021, he launched STEM Global Action to take what he's been doing in New Orleans global. He's won numerous awards, including the 2003 Presidential Award for Excellence in Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Mentoring at the White House. I think that was, what president was that? Oh, see, it was W, but it's okay. He's good. He was awarded the 2019 Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Board's Chair Phoenix Award, the highest award given by the Congressional Black Caucus. In addition to STEM NOLA, Mackie serves as the president and CEO of Channel Zero Group, LLC, an educational and professional development company founded in 1992. He has addressed numerous civic and educational institutions, government entities, and professional associations and businesses across the world. He's the author of 2 award-winning books, A View from the Roof, which is life lessons and business, and Grandma's Hands, which cherished moments of faith and wisdom. He's a devoted husband to his wife Tracy and father of 2 sons, Miles Ahmad and Mason Amir. Without any further ado, I bring to you Dr. Calvin Mackie.
First, I'd like to say thank you to President Greg Washington. It's still, it's hard to roll off my mouth sometimes, you know. President Greg Washington, thank you for having me, to the entire Mason community. Thank you for coming out this morning. You know, when Dr. Washington asked me to speak, I said, oh man, I'll be honored. And he keep reminding me, and I remember I'm the president. I said, Greg, you got the job. I'm not going to cause you to lose it. We've come close many times, but I ain't going to cause you to lose this one. Everywhere you've been, you've invited me, and I got right to the line. But today, I know I can't go nowhere near that line, bro. No, but, you know, I've been knowing this guy 30 years, and to be a part of his investiture is definitely a highlight of my life. There's 3 people you never should forget in your life. You never forget the person who got you into trouble. Never forget the person who got you out of trouble, you know, but never forget the person that helped you when you was in trouble. And I'm gonna talk about my life story and talk about what we need to be doing as an institution and as a nation. And many of the adversities I've been through, there's been one constant besides the adversity, and that's been this man here. And he was there not because I called. He was there because that's who he is. And I knew one day he would stand in this position as president, run the institution, because that's what his heart is. That's what he always wanted to do. And everything that he did was in a selfless service to especially the students that he was serving. So Greg, congratulations to you, and thank you for being a friend. Now, you know, Greg gave you that beautiful introduction. Thank you, Greg. I don't know who wrote it. I believe my communications person here, you did a great job writing that piece. But, you know, if you think that's the way I'm going to present, you got a long day ahead of you. First, you know, I like to say, again, thank you to you all. My mom taught me. She said, good manners to take you further than money ever will. It seemed like we've raised an entire generation of young people who don't know the meaning of words like thank you, excuse me, hard work, sacrifice, persistence. And I don't want to be confused with them because racial, my mother raised me differently. My name is Calvin Mackie, and I'm from back of town, Gerttown, Zion City. I'm from the lower 9 where we don't mind dying. I'm from that wild magnolia, I thought I told you. I'm from that CP3, you know me. The point that I'm trying to make is that I started from the bottom, and now I'm here. Whenever they invite me to a place like this and they have a little Jeep or something waiting on me, they got a parking sign with my name on it, I be like, man, look at these people, they don't know who they invited them. How did I get here? You know what I mean? When I came in today, he said, parking for Calvin Mack. I went around the block like 2 times, right? Just took pictures of it. See, I got to tweak this. Yes, I started from the bottom and now I'm here. And before this speech is over, you're going to realize I can go from 0 to 100 real quick. And if I had more students in here, they'll be going crazy because they know what I'm talking about. They'll know that I never needed a rapper or entertainer to tell me that I had greatness in my DNA. I was encouraged by a community that didn't have much, but they had belief and hope. They understood that this is the greatest country in the world where you can get up any day and create a better tomorrow for yourself if you're willing to put in the work, put your head down, and go get it done. And that's the message that we got to bring to the generation that's before us now. Before I get started, let me give you 2 caveats. My first caveat is that my beautiful wife, Trace, is a pharmacist. And she believes that I'm ADD and I've never been treated before. So there's no way I can stand at that podium. I got to move around. Never forget my 3rd grade teacher. She said, Calvin, you're going to learn, I'm going to kill you. And I chose life. She knew right then and there I was going to be a problem. Caveat number 2, don't confuse my passion with anger. You know, everywhere I go, I was speaking a couple of years ago at General Electric, and it was Jeff Immelt, Al Sharpton, and me. Now, that's gangster. Am I allowed to say gangster? Okay. I'm sorry. And I said, Mr. Immelt. He said, what? I said, pinch me. He said, what are you talking about, Calvin? I said, who'd ever thought a little black boy like me from the inner city of New Orleans would be sitting next to one of the most powerful CEOs in America about to speak to 1,500 of his executives? I said, sir, dreams do come true. Martin Luther King says, not the words of my enemies that shall remember, but the silence of my friends. I'm not angry, I'm passionate. And look like, if I am angry, look like somebody else should be angry. When you look at the state of our country, look at the state of communities. You look at the state of education in America, look like somebody should be angry, look like somebody should be mad, look like somebody should be marching down the street. But I'm not angry, I'm just passionate. And I'm happy to be amongst other passionate people today. For what George Mason has done, what George Mason is doing with this diverse population, the graduation rate that George Mason is putting forth for minority populations here on your campus, obviously you all are passionate. And thank you for your commitment to it. But James Baldwin said, a passion is unfriendly. He said, a passion is angry. He said, a passion contains a challenge, and it contains an unspeakable hope. And everywhere I go and speak to people about education, especially about the education that our children need for the 21st century, I challenge them. But I refuse to leave you with an unspeakable hope. And the reason why I want to talk about hope for this morning is because that's what we need. The vision that this man has laid out of taking on the grand challenges that we must face in the 21st century will take belief and hope. In many places I've been in my life, many jobs I've had, I've been there, and 2 things were certain. They didn't believe in me, and they had no hope for the future. This thing called hope is not play. I know a man ran for president and used the word hope, and now since he ran for president, people acting like hope a 4-letter word. Hope ain't never did nothing to you. Hope is the only thing that took us from where we were. Hope is the only thing that got us where we are today, and hope is the only thing that's going to take us to where we need to go. Hope. I got a friend named Dr. Truth. Dr. Truth said, Brother Mackie, when you lose money, you've lost a little. When you lose a friend, you've lost a lot. He said, when you lose hope, you've lost it. And as I go across this country, look in the eyes of many of our children, look like they've lost it. But when they come on the campus of George Mason, wherever campus site they must be, it must be a very hopeful environment for them. Hope. Hope is not play. Hope is the thing that caused the old lady to sit down and caused the nation to stand up. Hope is the thing that made Tuskegee Airmen believe that they could fly airplanes when their own government told them they couldn't. Hope is the thing that made George Washington Carver do with a peanut 100 years ago that Harvard PhDs still cannot do today. Hope is the thing that turned crackheads into teachers and pimps into preachers. Hope is the thing that made our founding fathers like George Mason write, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men, all are created equal. Hope is the thing that made even George W. Bush, when he ran for president, his stump speech for the second term was the duty of hope. Hope is the thing. When Ronald Reagan talked about the shining city on the hill, he said America's the last best hope for man on earth. That's some hope for your behind. Hope is the thing that took a black preacher and made him believe that he can have a dream and change the world. Hope is the thing that took a 47-year-old man and sent him to jail in South Africa for 27 years and he came out a world leader. Hope is the thing that took Jay-Z from big pimping to a billionaire. Hope is the thing that took Cesar Chavez to the halls of Washington to organize migrant workers. Hope is the thing that took a black boy with a white mom and a goat-herding daddy and made him believe that he can be president. And some people said, no, you can't. But America stood up and said, yes, you can. See, hope is that little voice in your head that whispers maybe when the whole world is screaming no. And I don't know about you. Where I came from, my life, sir, I thought my whole name was no. Can I go over there? No. Can I go to your school? No. You think I can be an engineer? No. You think I can be a doctor? No. Do you think I can ever walk in the White House? No. Do you think I can do this? No. I'm looking at you, pretty women. I remember when I was growing up, many a times I would ask you, may I have your phone number? You know what they used to tell me? No. But back in the day, Greg, they didn't want me. But now since I'm hot, I don't care who's telling these students no. I do care who's telling them no, but their family may be telling them no. Their socioeconomic condition may be telling them no. The neighborhood they come from may be telling them no. But when they come to you, George Mason, we must tell them yes. Yes. And that's personal to me. Because all the times people was telling me no, I can remember when somebody told me yes. And I know as an individual, I know my personal life is that I know one individual telling a person yes can transform them. It can transform them. In the 21st century, our children are only going to have 3 options. They're only going to have 3 options in the 21st century. Independent of their race, independent of their sex, independent of their socioeconomic background, every kid in America going to have, in this world, really going to have 1 or 3 options. Either they're going to take something, either they're going to break something, or they're going to make something. Now, if we don't give them the education, if we don't give them the skills and the inspiration and the motivation to make something, like make a living, like make a life, or make a difference, that's only going to leave them with the 2 options that we see on the news every night, and that's to take and a break. And I don't want that for any of our children. I don't want that for any student that may happen to end up on George Mason University campus. And whether you're in the staff, whether you're in the faculty, or whether you're in the executive team, I don't care what you do, it is our responsibility to make sure that we keep that on the end of our nose, because every kid that we come in contact with, every student that we may come in contact with, the voice or the words that come out of our mouth may be transformative to them. See, I grew up in a house with no books. My father dropped out of school in the 8th grade to pick cotton. My mother went to a state-approved Negro high school. I stand before you as Dr. Mackie. Grew up in a house with no books. But just like many other young people today, I was obsessed with pop culture. And I had a wicked crossover and a jump shot that just wouldn't quit. Every time I would come in the gym, whole gym would go, shh, because they knew it was going to be raining threes all night long. And one night, playing against Master P, Booker T. Washington, I'll never forget, I took a long jump shot. One of the few jump shots I missed, ricocheted off the rim. The young man went to get the ball, but I beat him to the ball, and I grabbed the ball. He grabbed my ball in my arm. They went that way. I went this way, and I suffered a traumatic shoulder separation. My coach picked me up. He said, oh, no. He said, Kelvin, your dreams are destroyed. And he took me to the hospital. We got to the hospital. A doctor came in. The doctor looked. Doctor said, oh, no. And the doctor ran back out, and he came back in with 3 more doctors. 4 doctors got around me, and they took a sheet, and they tied me up. They did a tug-of-war and popped my shoulder back in. They said, young man, there's 2 things we want to tell you. I was like, what? They said, 1, you suffered a traumatic shoulder separation, and 2, you'll never be able to play basketball again. Now, my dreams was destroyed. I said, what am I going to do? And my coach took me home. He brought me home that night. And you know now, like with travel basketball, travel volleyball, parents will spend every penny following their kids around the country to play basketball. I had a game around the corner. My coach had to take me home. It was a different day. My mom ain't come to a game in her life. Coach knocked on her door. He said, Miss Mackie, I'm sorry to tell you, but your son will never be able to play basketball again. My mom looked at me and she only had one thing to say. She said, what are you going to do now? We told you to study. We told you to study. I said, Mama, what about my shoulder? She said, boy, shut up and get in this house. That's a real mama there. We need more mamas like that, and this thing in education will be turned around. I ran in my room. I laid in my bed. I looked up and said, God, what am I doing? And God said, boy, don't worry about your shoulder. You're going to do more for this world with your head than you ever thought you'd do with your legs and your arms. Got up the next day and went to my school to find my favorite teacher, Miss V. When I walked into that classroom, I said, Miss V, you heard about my... She said, shut up, Kelvin. We heard about your shoulder. She said, but what are you going to do now? We told you to study. We told you to study. I said, I don't know, Miss V. She said, Kelvin, tell me something. What are you going to do? I said, I don't know. She said, Kelvin, I don't know. Ain't good enough no more. In the 21st century, there only be two types of people, Kelvin, those in the know and those not in the know. And we want you to be in the know. The way this world is changing. The day these kids walk into, students walk into George Mason to the day they walk out, the knowledge that they got day one may even be obsolete in the next 4 years. We have to create lifelong learners and let them know that you're going to have to learn forever because the world is changing. She said, Kelvin, what you going to do? I said, no, Miss V. She said, Kelvin, tell me something. I said, all right, Miss V, I'm going to be an engineer. She said, who, you? You grew up in a house with no books. See, life and death literally lives in a tongue. She said, Kelvin, do you know what an engineer does? I said, no, but it sounds real good. She said, all right then, Kelvin, you're going to be an engineer, you have to go take this test. I said, what test? She said, the SAT. Now, people, I was ignorant. And don't get bent out of shape when people call you ignorant. Ignorant means you just don't know. Stupid means there's no hope for you. Flavor Flav, stupid. I was just ignorant. I was so ignorant when she told me to go take the SAT, I thought SAT meant Saturday. And then I knew it meant Saturday because then when I asked them when was the test, they said Saturday. I was like, genius. Now, I'll never forget, I went to take that test, and when I got there, I walked in, and I looked around, and all the people that had been in like George Mason summer programs and all the different pipeline programs you have, they had been studying. They knew this was a very important moment in their life. They were biting their nails. They put their, and they was nervous. I just put my head down because nobody could tell me nothing. And when they gave me that test, they brought me that test. I looked at that test, and I was like, I didn't know that word. It's a that word. It's a that word. It's a that word. So you all know what we do on those tests when we don't know what we're supposed to know. I start going A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, B, C, D. Whoa, I better change this thing up. C, B, C, B, A. Yeah, I see some of y'all. I know how y'all got here too. Yeah, you're high and mighty now, but don't act like you didn't do that test like that. Hey, man, I looked around. I was the first one finished. I was like a bunch of dummies and put my head back. They had to wake me up. Say, man, wake up, wake up. And back then we didn't have the internet. We didn't have Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, website. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have all of that. We had to wait 6 weeks on our scores. Well, 6 weeks later, I went to the mailbox, and I opened it up, and I looked. I saw those scores. And I went to school to find Miss V. When I got to school, Miss V said, Kelvin, you got them. I said, I got them, Miss V. Miss V said, Kelvin, how did you do? Ignorantly and confidently, I looked at Miss V. I said, Miss V, I got 84%. She said, Kelvin, 84% on the SAT? That's unbelievable, Kelvin, especially for you. She said, but Kelvin, I never heard the test explained in percentages before. She said, Kelvin, what's your raw score? What's your total score? Ignorantly and confidently, I looked at her and I screamed, 840. She said, no, boy, you got some issues. She said, the test is not out of 1,000. The test is out of 1,600. You don't have 84%. You barely have 50%. You need to go take that test again. Oh, no, not that Saturday test. I do much better on Fridays. I'm gonna stick to my Fridays test. She said, but Kelvin, do you still want to be an engineer? I said, yes. Ms. V told me something then that transformed my life. She said, Calvin, a man cannot create a test to measure what's inside of you if you're willing to work towards it. She said, there's a college recruitment fair in New Orleans Superdome. You want to be an engineer, go down there and talk to somebody. She said, but Calvin, nobody in your family ever been to college before. I said, I don't care, I'm going. And then next Saturday, I went down to that Superdome, kicked that door open, and I walked in. And when I walked in, the first table I saw was the Georgia Tech engineers. This is like divine intervention. I want to be an engineer, and the first table I see is Georgia Tech engineers. I walk over to the table, and the guy at the table said, what can I do for you, son? I said, man, I'd like to be an engineer. He said, you came to the right place. We the rambling wreck from Georgia Tech, and heck of an engineer. I was like, yeah. He said, son, what's your SAT score? Ignorantly and confident, I looked at him and I screamed, 840. The dude was having conniptions. He said, man, you can't come down to school. I've never even heard no score like that. And that lesson taught me just because the school ranked #1, that doesn't mean it's #1 for you. We have to make sure that our students find a place that's nurturing, that's going to meet them where they are, and going to support them to help them to become the greatness that we know that's within them. Clearly, that wasn't Georgia Tech for me. That dude said, you can't come here, man. He wouldn't even give me an application. But he just happened to point at a little raggedy table across the way. A guy was sitting at the table. Y'all got the beautiful skirts on the table. The table didn't even have a skirt on it. I went over to the table, and that guy said, what can I do for you? I said, man, that dude over there told me to come over here. He said, what you want to be, son? I said, I want to be an engineer. He said, you came to the right place. He said, what's your SAT score? I said, man, I can play some ball. He said, no, I need those scores. I said, man, I can dance. He said, son, I need those scores. This time I whispered. I said, 840. He was shaking his head. He said, I tell you what, son, sign right here and come to Morehouse College. You're a diamond in a rough, but a diamond sure enough. We'll make you into a doctor. We'll make you into a lawyer. We'll make you into an engineer. When the students come to GMU, you don't know where they're coming from. Most of them maybe just be diamonds in a rough. And it's our responsibility to shine them up so when they go out in the world, they can be who they want to be. In June 1985, I went to Morehouse College. My mom took me to Morehouse. Never been on a college campus before. When I walked up on Morehouse College campus, they looked at me, they looked at my test scores, and I talk funny. In New Orleans, we talk funny. When I got to Morehouse, I was talking funny. The guy said, where you from? I said, from New Orleans. I said, I'm about it, how you do that there, and I'm the man right here. You heard me, little Wody? We down for real for Sheezy. They were like, no, son, don't pass go. Go directly to remedial reading. When I got to Morehouse, I started Morehouse in remedial reading, developmental mathematics. Never forget the kid, my friends used to call me LD for Louisiana Dummy. And I never forget, on my way to remedial reading class, Benjamin Elijah Mays had a quote on the wall that said, when you find out that you're behind in a race of life, you got two choices, run faster or quit. And the problem in America is that now 20 of our children are quitting. If a kid is born in poverty, they got a 7% chance of attending a 4-year institution and graduating in 4 years. What kind of American dream is that? But Morehouse took me to the basement of that building every day. And they put me in front of a computer. And every day they put me in front of that computer and let the words go by faster and faster and faster. And every day I read and I read and I read. And every day my friends laughed and they laughed and they laughed. I got up every day and I ran and I ran and I ran. And after 3.5 years, after starting college in remedial reading and developmental mathematics, I finished Morehouse #1 in mathematics, #5 in the largest class ever graduated from Morehouse, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Thank you. That's a testament to the people like you that committed to young people like me. It happened then and it gotta happen now. And I never forget at graduation, I walked across the stage and put a microphone in front of my face. And they said, Calvin, when your father dropped out of school in 8th grade to pick cotton, when your mother went to a state-approved Negro high school, who'd ever thought you'd come to Morehouse and do the things you've done? They said, Calvin, what are you gonna do now? I said, man, you know what? He said, what? I said, bruh, I'm gonna go to Georgia Tech. It's only 1.5 miles away and a $1.50 bus ride. 2 weeks later, I started Georgia Tech School. I said I should never be there. 18 months later, I finished my second undergraduate degree, a BS in mechanical engineering, 2 degrees in 5 years to the inner city ghetto kid from back of town, Gertown, Zion City of New Orleans, who they said never should have been in college. And I'm not here to brag and talk about the greatness in me. I'm here to tell that story to tell you about the greatness in every last student at George Mason, if we nurture them and give them a pathway to do what it is that they're supposed to do. 2 years later, I got a master's in mechanical engineering. And 4 years after that, in 1996, I became one of 11 African Americans in the country that year to receive a PhD in mechanical engineering. Now, as I said, I didn't come here today to brag. I came here to tell you that story to let you know that each and every one of us, especially each and every one of our scholars, been impregnated with something so great, such that if they give birth to it, it'll make Bill Gates look like a midget in the annals of history. But yet and still, too many of our students, and even too many of us, have already committed to having abortions on our dreams. Why are you here? Why you show up every day? I got 40 employees in my company right now, and I ask them that every day. Why are you here? If this isn't the place to help make your dreams come true, where you can make a difference, where you can pour into somebody, where you can go to bed at night and sleep with a good conscience, why are you here? And driving up on campus, seeing some of these students, I realize I'm living my life's dream and I'm living my life's purpose. The challenges that we got to address as a nation, the challenges that we have to address as an institution, the vision that Dr. Washington has laid out, it's going to take belief and it's going to take hope. Belief in yourself and hope in these kids that are showing up. And you know, I used to be a professor. Before I sit down, I need to tell you, I used to be a professor. I used to be a professor. I used to be a tenured faculty member. Now I go speak on university campuses, and the president sitting out there, and people are like, they should hire you. And I'm like, your president want me on his campus like he need a hole in his head. I was a faculty member at Tulane University. First and only African-American ever tenured in the history of the College of Engineering at Tulane University. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, my family lost 29 houses. And that was my dream. I grew up in New Orleans, and I grew up on Audubon and Earhart in a side of town called Back-of-Town. But if you get on my bike to this day and continue to ride, the other end of Audubon is the $1 million mansion where the president of Tulane lives to this day. Now, I'll never forget there was a street called Walmsley. I get on my bike, and I couldn't cross Walmsley because that's where the white people lived. And my whole dream was just go and do something and one day be on the other side of Walmsley. And there I was, a professor at Tulane. And in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the president of Tulane University made an unbelievable decision. He decided to keep the football team and eliminate the engineering program. In the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster in the history of the country, that great leadership moment, his decision was to eliminate the engineering program. And he got awards for that. And my buddy, who was the football coach, called me. He said, dog. Oh, I can say dog? He said, dog, who'd ever thought I'll still be as the football coach and you'll be going as the tenured faculty member? I said, man, maybe the young brothers in the hood got it right. He said, what you mean? Maybe when I was studying calculus, I should have been doing wind sprints. Because the message that the president of Tulane University sent to every boy and girl that day is that it's all right to come to this university and run that rock, dunk that ball, hit that pill, stop, drop it like it's hot, and entertain us. But don't you think about coming to this university and getting a science, technology, engineering, or mathematics degree to save yourself and your community from the next natural disaster. And that's where we are as a nation right now. I have a dream that, that every Saturday in this country, especially for black and brown boys, there's 1 million black and brown boys playing football or basketball, hoping and dreaming and believing that one day, 18 years later, they're going to be one of 60 or one of 250 that get drafted and become millionaires. I have a dream. That's why I started this organization called STEMNOLA, because my dream is to have 1 million kids on Saturday doing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. 1 million kids on Saturday, every Saturday doing STEM, hoping and dreaming and believing that 18, 19, 20 years later, there'll be one of the 3 million millionaires in the world, or one of the 2,750 billionaires in the world. There's approximately 2,750 billionaires in the world, and the ironic thing is that not one of them ever played football. So if I got 2 sons, why should I send him They send them to bump their head against each other for 3 hours a day when they could be studying STEM and one day create something such that they may one day buy the team. If we're going to be the nation we need to, we're going to have to make academics and our children the goal and not entertainment and fulfillment. I'll never forget, I left the campus that day. I used to go to work every day because I was the only black faculty member. I was the president of the Black Faculty Association. I used to have black faculty meetings in my office, and I'd pour a little rum for the vice president, a little rum for me, and we'd toast. I was the janitor. I was the recording secretary. I used to go to work every day listening to Tupac, Me Against the World, and leave listening to Biggie, Who Shot Ya? I'll never forget, I left that day and I went to my house. And when I got to my house, my family lost 29 houses. 8 people had moved into my house with me. And I go to my house and I got palm trees. And, you know, guy was up in my palm tree. I said, look here, look, dog, you might want to get down out that palm tree. Opened my front door. My 2 sons was playing with their train, their Thomas train. They looked up, they said, Daddy, and they ran to him and I kissed them. Love you, sons. And I went in the kitchen and my beautiful wife Tracy was cooking for everybody. And she had the catfish on, she had the red beans on, she had the jambalaya on, and she was making that good potato salad. Now, I know y'all don't know how to make potato salad in Virginia because I went out last night. And I may not ever order potatoes again in Virginia. But her potato salad frisbee is so smooth, sometimes I take that potato salad, just rub it on my face, like, I kiss her, I say, I love you. And she was cooking, and she had the vent on, they had the air conditioner on, they had the window open. I just saw money going out the window. My little nephew had moved in with me. He in the corner with the computer on, the iPad on, the iPod on, the music on, the headphones on. I'm like, look, man, can you just turn something off? My old uncle had moved in with me. He had lost his 2 houses. He had retired from Folgers Coffee. He watching a big screen television. He watching the same news every 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, can you just watch the news one time, go walk around the block or something? My big brother had moved in with me. He upstairs. 4 years, my senior. He done lost his house and his job. He upstairs by himself. Sister, he by himself with the air conditioner on, the lights on, the TV on, the computer on. I'm like, look, can everybody just come downstairs and get in the same little room? And my daddy had moved in with me. In the aftermath of Hurricane Betsy, 1965, my daddy started a roofing company, put a ladder on a car. And this guy named Mr. Juno had my daddy fixing his rental property for years and years. And eventually, Mr. Juno wanted to develop a part of New Orleans. He came to my daddy and said, if I let you do all these roofs, can you do it? And my daddy said, yeah. And that started Mackie Roofing. And for 40 years, this guy with no formal education created one of the biggest roofing companies in the city of New Orleans. They called him the best parole officer, because young men would get out of jail and know if they walk across the bridge, they had a job. And I tell that story because we live in a nation now where people want to give people opportunities. In STEM, you don't even have to go to college and get a 4-year degree to have a career in STEM. My daddy was a roofer and built a whole business that fed 100 families. But in the aftermath of Katrina, he lost his business, he lost his dream house, and eventually he lost his life. Because the week before Hurricane Katrina, he was diagnosed with level 2 lung cancer. He was supposed to start his treatment the day of Hurricane Katrina, but we had to evacuate. Took us 6 weeks to find him because he went one way, we went another. By the time we found him and we brought him back to the hospital, they couldn't re-diagnose him because the water had destroyed all of the records. Took us 2 more weeks to finally get him in a place where they could re-diagnose him. And by the time they re-diagnosed him, the cancer had spread all over his body. Now, thank God I had done something with my life. I thank God somebody had spoke hope into me such that I had opportunity, such that I could do something with my life, such that when this imperfect man needed me, I was able to be there for him. He moved in with me. He on hospice. He in the corner waving. And I stood down and looked up and said, God, what am I going to do? I thought about the 2 lessons that my mom and dad taught me. My mom said the job may be your resource, but God is your source. And my daddy taught me that a man's supposed to get up every day and go out and hunt and kill, he shall not eat. Since I had 4 STEM degrees, I went in my room, I fell on my knees, I prayed, I got up the next day, and I went out and started an alternative energy company where we take waste streams, like waste vegetable oil, and convert them to biodiesel and sell them into the oil stream. Now that's gangster. And since I had those degrees, and since I had those skills, and since I was able to make something, I didn't have to break or take anything, Since I had those skills, I lost a tenured position, but me and my family never had to depend on another man, another woman, another government to do for us what we otherwise could do for ourselves. And that's the American dream. And that's what every kid deserves. The opportunity to get up and get the education that they need so that they can do that, so that they can do for themselves. And I know some of you all sitting here, Greg and I, you always have that conversation. You say, man, I can't even imagine losing tenure. People ask me, now, what was the most pivotal moment in your life? Every time I see the president of Tulane, I say, thank you. He said it wasn't personal. I said, it was personal. You should have fired me 5 years ago, 5 years before then, because I was able to walk into my life's purpose. And my life purpose is giving back to our community to make sure that they can come to places like George Mason and compete, not with Virginia, not with California, not with Michigan, but compete against the world. And that's our mission. That's our calling. Thank you all for being here this morning. Best to every last one of you. Congratulations, Greg. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now there's mics. They wanted me to tell you that there's mics for questions if any of y'all want to ask questions. And don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
I guess thank you so much. That was really inspirational.
Thank you.
I'm a professor of computer game design, but we're under the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and I was wondering if you've considered putting the arts in STEM, because I think that the arts also make difference.
What's your name?
Ted Prowat.
Ted, let me tell you something, Ted. I wish I could have got any question but that one. Oh, man. I get in trouble every time somebody asks me that question, Ted. Now, for full disclosure, I went to Morehouse College. It was a humanities college, produced Martin Luther King, produced Samuel Jackson, Spike Lee. And I led a protest against the provost to try to get him to reduce the number of humanities in the engineering curriculum. We didn't need all those humanities. A protest, brother. I came this close to getting kicked out. And Ted, to this day, I'm a collector of investment-grade black art. I got books all in my house about Catlett and all these people, right? I've written 2 books that have nothing to do with STEM because of my humanities background. I collect Jacob Lawrence because, never forget, I had to go to art class, and I was so mad that I had to go to this art class. And the professor said, go down to the High Museum in Atlanta, see this art exhibit. And I'm like, this is the most girly stuff in the world. But there was a beautiful girl at Spelman that was really girly. I said, would you come to this art show with me? And she was so blown away that I wanted to go to an art show. But I went to the art show, and it was Jacob Lawrence. It's Migration series, and I saw that, right? And that art transformed my life. And from that day, I started saving money. And my gift to myself when I got my first degree, I'll never forget Mitchell Street in Atlanta, I went down and I bought an Ernie Barnes in the beginning. Ernie Barnes is the one who did the Good Times photo. So the arts are very dear to me. My brother is Anthony Mackie, just a full disclosure, the first black Captain America, Papa Doc in 8 Mile, he over in Dubai film, and this past year, the pandemic been good to him. He's #1 on Disney, #1 streaming on Disney, #1 streaming on Netflix. I'm like, boy, can I get dinner or something? Went to Juilliard. So arts has a place in this thing. And my competitive advantage to be able to stand up here on this stage, no doubt, is the humanities and arts background I got from Morehouse. Head and shoulders above my friends at Georgia Tech. But I'm not a STEAM component. I'm a STEM plus the arts component. Because everybody I know that's doing STEAM, matter of fact, I said STEAM is a bastardization of STEM. Because a lot of people doing STEAM, doing a lot of arts ain't got nothing to do with STEM. Now, what I do, like I have a day called The Power of Sound, the physics of sound. And I bring in all these artists. I bring in the drum line, I bring in the cello player, the flute, the snare drums. And then we teach the kids the physics of sound. But I believe the artist need to be the artist and be who he or she needs to be. And we have a beautiful marriage, and let me be STEM, and we come together and collaborate to create something beautiful. And the reason why I say it's the bastardization of STEM for me, because I see a lot of people that use this STEAM term just hustling money that they otherwise thought that they wouldn't get if they were on the arts only. So in New Orleans, they said we STEAM, and they gave like $1 million to ballet. Why did they give the $1 million to ballet? Because that's what corporate America want to do. The corporate exec, those are my people. We need to have stuff to go to. So we're going to give them $1 million to ballet under the guise of STEAM, and we go hang out and drink tea together. I'm a big proponent, especially of the digital arts, the arts and the graphic arts that relate to, let's say, technology. I'm a big proponent of kids taking humanities in the arts. I believe, what Morehouse taught me is this: we are human beings first, right? So where a lot of colleges go wrong is that we get so caught up, this is where STEM goes wrong. We get so caught up in teaching people how to do that we forgot that it's our responsibility to teach them how to be. So art teaches us our being first. What Morehouse gave me, when I'm talking about hope, they helped me believe and helped me find my being so that I was able to do. Many kids, especially minorities, don't understand their being, so they never get that right, so they struggle with the doing part. Now, I know I went a long way around that question, but for the arts, for me, it breaks two ways: the humanities and the liberal arts, and there's definitely a place. And then the arts like you're doing, the visual arts, the gaming, the video. Matter of fact, I'm starting a whole esports division. We taught kids how to make games this summer. That has a role too, but I just don't like the moniker of STEAM, because what it does to the entire movement. And really, America don't have an arts problem. America got a STEM problem. They just sent all these rich people, they sent these little rockets to upper atmosphere. I don't call it space. NASA did that 30 years ago, and they're celebrating these clowns sending a rocket to upper atmosphere. They're going to colonize the moon. And I ain't been on there yet. They ain't sent a black man yet, so I'm supposed to be mad. When I get to go to upper atmosphere, you're going to colonize the moon without me? Anyway, that's a different comment. You see what I mean? So are we there? Cool. But there's definitely a place for matter of fact, I just hired a graphic artist, and they've taken our STEM stuff to a whole nother level. Gotcha. Question.
Good morning, Dr. Mackie.
Morning.
Jason Callan, Morehouse 96.
Hey, Morehouse.
Two-part question. It's regarding the persistence of folks in STEM. My interest is in the pipeline. And so first part of the question is, how do we keep folks to educate folks in STEM, right? Because teachers or folks who are getting these STEM majors aren't necessarily going into education, they're going into industry. And then the second part is, how do we keep kids that have an interest in STEM to stay in STEM? Because what I've found is that they start, but many times again, they see the dollars, and they go off and they change their majors into something else, and they leave STEM majors.
Great question. Let me say this. When you look at, let's say, engineering, and you look at the history of engineering is, it called it the gateway profession. If you look at the history of the country, when you look at doctors and lawyers, if they're not first generation, if you talk to them, many of them, they trace their lineage back. It was somebody in a family that went from being industrial or agricultural, they got an engineering degree, and then their children became doctors, lawyers, and engineers because they had all this opportunity. So engineering has always been, engineering is the only degree that you can get as an undergrad and be it. When kids walk through this door and they're engineering majors, in 4 years, when they get that degree, they are an engineer. They'll never have to do a day of engineering work in their life. When they die, on their obituaries, they'll say engineer. That's how powerful engineering is. So when we start talking about persistence in engineering, we got to be careful because we putting 18-year-olds in professional school. It's not underwater fire prevention. It's not basket weaving. I mean, it is hard, and it's hard from day one. So if we know that, we got to go all the way back. So that's why I've been working on the pipeline problem for 30 years. And what we've created, we might have the only cradle-to-career pipeline in this country. Now, NSF saying they best practice. They say, well, Mackie, you're not following the best practice. I said, well, the best practice, and I got this bull we got. I'm creating the next practices. So we have an entire ecosystem in our high-functioning STEM community. And what we believe, sir, what I believe we have to do is create a high-functioning STEM community. And in a high-functioning community, you look at any ethnic group of people, right? I went to Ghana and looked at the Ashanti and the Khan people. It's a high-functioning community. And a high-functioning community is child-centered, adult-governed, elder rule. A high-functioning community got standards, it got structure, and it got strategy. So in this STEM pipeline, we got to have structure, we got to have strategy, and we got to have standards. In a high-functioning community, every decision made is made in what's in the best interest of these children. The adults in a high-functioning community are the ones that carry the load, like us, work 40, 80 hours, trying to make money, create wealth, so that we can free up the elder. So when the elders in the spring season of their life, they got time and energy to pour into the children the wisdom that they have gained. So when you looked at the over-incarceration of African Americans, what that did was that it took so many adults out of the community, it broke up the structure of the community. So many of the elders who had time and energy now had to step into the place of the adult. Now the elder tied, the kids running wild, and you got chaos. So if I take that theory and I look at my pipeline, then I ask myself, how do I create this pipeline? So right now we taking kids at 6 months. 6 months to pre-K3, pre-K4 to second grade, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, 9th through 12th, and then we have 14 to 16, whatever they call post-secondary or whatever, and then we have the elders. So any event we have, we focus on the K-12 kids. We surround those K-12 kids with college kids. We've put over $1.5 million in the hands of college students over the last 7 years by training them and deploying them into the community. And then we ask the professionals in the community to volunteer. They got jobs. The professionals love to come because now they don't have to do the work. They don't have to learn something new. We just ask them to come be who they are because we've empowered the college students. We call that vertical mentoring. Now, why is that important? My son grew up in a house with a daddy who's a PhD, a mom who's a pharmacist. My son wanted to meet a president of a university. He done sat at his house and eaten. My son wanted to meet an astronaut. I called my friend. And my son wanted to meet Captain America. That's his uncle. So my son is on full tuition, room, board, and fees, scholarship all the way through his PhD at Howard University. That makes sense because my son was raised in that. But how do I marshal this human capital at GMU and the technical capital at GMU to the other side of town on the southeast of Washington, D.C., so Jose, Pookie, Ray Ray, Maria, and little Johnny can get to know Kelvin and Greg, see, touch, and feel us, and know that it is possible. So that persistence comes from not so much me not knowing STEM, that persistence comes from that belief and hope. He did it, so I can. They never think they do that in football, they do that in basketball. The richest black man in America is Robert Smith, got a BS degree in chemical engineering from Cornell. Yeah, he went to Wall Street. But I'm mad that my son don't know his name, but he knows Jay-Z, Yi, Ye, Yin, Yang, and whatever his damn name is today, Oprah and Jordan. So when we start talking about persistence, it's more than just, hey, sit here and study. You got to do the work, and we got to put these supports around you for your somebodyness, because you're going to struggle. When I was working on my PhD, my mom died, I was working on my PhD. Never forget, I went into my prelim, my qualifying exams, and I knew I did well on the exam. I knew I did well. I knew I kicked it out the park. And when I left those orals, I went home and I laid on the floor and I cried. My roommates found me in a fetal position, backpack still on my back. And I cried and I cried and I cried because I couldn't call my mama. But Dr. Carolyn Myers was my PhD advisor, former president of Jackson State and Norfolk State. But I had her. And when I went into that professor's office, because I knew I had done well, and he looked at me and said, well, the committee thought you could have done better. Never said I failed. You could have done better. Now, if I'd have dropped out of PhD program right then and there, because I had every option, people was offering me jobs like crazy. For some kids to come and major in engineering and major in science, and people offering them $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and their parents never made that. And now we asking them to stay in school another 6 years and take this abuse. And then we wonder about the pipeline. My PhD is in fluid mechanics. I studied the flow of fluids in pipes. When stuff ain't coming out then, that means you got some in the middle. It's either blocking it or kicking it out. And that's what got to be rooted out in this STEM pipeline thing. And the reason why I'm not on a college campus is because I've committed my life to calling it out. There was a major university, one of the top universities in the country. I worked with them for 10 years because, they said our black males ain't making it. I'm like, all right. So every summer they bring me to work with the black males coming in. And after 10 years, these guys, these are the best talent in the country. These guys have won, they won where they were winning. That's how they got to this school with 3 letters. I ain't gonna name the name of the school with the 3 letters, but that's how they got there. After 10 years of going up there every summer and working with them, say, y'all ready? And somehow at the end of their freshman year, always the black males had the lowest GPA. All their life they've been winning, but they got to this institution, they couldn't win, place, or show. So I went in their office and I said, we need to talk. They said, what? I said, maybe the problem ain't the young men. I said, maybe these young men are the canaries in the coal mine. Letting you know that your environment is toxic. It's toxic for them, but guess what? If it's toxic for them, eventually it's going to start killing everybody. Well, that was the end of that contract. But that's all good. Everything ain't for sale. Stood on my principle. And now everything I proposed to that institution, now they're doing it because other people began to suffer. That's the issue with the pipeline. And I'm with you. Those that's in, we got to keep them in. And the way we keep them in is they need real people. They need role models. They need real models. They need people they can touch. They need people speaking hope into them. I used to go speak. Greg and I was doing 100,000 miles a year speaking on college campuses. About 10 years ago, everything changed. I can't even get on a college campus now. Speaking to kids, they got the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Orange County, Yin Yang. They got everybody except somebody who can speak hope into them to let them know what is possible for them. And Chuck D said celebrity is the new drug. So I asked the president of a university who had a rapper there, I said, but why are you the new drug dealer? I thought it was institutions of higher learning. That's how we fix the pipeline. We call what is. In our pipeline, Greg, remember this when they tried to kick me out of NSF that time. I said, stop making these people do this broadening participation stuff. If they don't want to be around our children, leave them alone. Put them in a corner. I don't want nobody speaking to our kids who don't believe in those kids. They are look, there's 3 types of people in this world: dream makers, dream fakers, and dream takers. And I'm sorry, on a lot of university campuses, there's dream takers because people can't get past their ego and their biases. That's a good sign, Greg. Another question? Yes, sir.
Dr. Mackie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was a great remark. I'm honored to be here. My name is Isaac Gong. I'm an associate professor of data analytics over in College of Engineering and Computing. I came from South Sudan 25 years ago as a teenager, and when I want to make a decision to go to college, I say I wanted to be a computer scientist, and the people that I was around told me that there was no way that a refugee kid could become a computer scientist. In 2008, I get a master at Southern Miss in computer science, and then in 2010, I get a PhD in computational science. I became a STEM leader in the school that I was teaching in. And one of the challenges that I see, obviously, is that we don't give our kids, at least at the level, the confidence that they need. When I got my PhD, I did not focus more on proving people wrong at the time, but I did tell the people that say you couldn't do it using the word of the great Chris Brown, look at me now. When I became the STEM leader, one of the challenges that I identified was teachers. Pipeline is one problem, but teachers at K to 12 is something that needs to be looked at. Before I came here, I was at Texas A&M, and I trained teachers to become STEM, STEM, or to change from other areas to teach STEM, so that our kids can have that connection in the classroom. So my question to you is, even with that work that I've done and some people doing the same work, we still have an acute shortage of teachers from K to 12 and this STEM classroom. How do we fix that?
Hey, congratulations to you, and I know that struggle, I know that story. Again, that's the work we're doing, right? Right now we have a $3 million grant from the Department of Defense, and we are training teachers from New Orleans all the way to northern Louisiana, and from New Orleans all the way along the Gulf Coast to Panama City, Florida. And the thing is this, as an engineer, I look at it, right? And I really do believe, as an engineer, we make assumptions first. And then based on assumptions we make, then we put things in place. If you make the wrong assumptions, you're gonna get some bad results, right? So the assumptions I make, people are like, man, you're crazy. The first assumption I make is nobody give a damn about our children. Whenever I go in a place talking to somebody, I go in under the assumption that they don't give a damn about these children. Now, why is that necessary? That's necessary because that forces me to think about what they do care about. And then we can have a value-placed conversation. Because if they don't care about the children, then I can offer them what they do care about, and they give me the funds such that I, who do care about the children, can do for the children. Now, if I go in there thinking they care about the children, and I have a conversation about the children, but they really don't care about the children, then I don't get the funds to do the things that I care about with the children. So for me, that's the right assumption. Second assumption is that we'll never train up enough teachers to do what it is that we need to do. They say, man, you so pessimistic. I'm like, no, I'm trying to solve the problem. I can't solve the problem with false assumptions. Now, if we train up all the teachers, look how good we are. But if we don't train the teachers, what can we do in a place of not having those teachers? And that's where we're doing our work. So what we're doing right now is that even the teachers that you were training, I don't question your training, but you know what it took to get your computer science degree or your engineering degree, for him, for me to get our engineering degrees. I don't know if we can give teachers that in a short period of time such that they then can convey that information to kids in a way such that the kids then can grasp it to be ready to walk into a GMU. I just don't know that. And how do I not know that? Because I started STEM NOLA because my son was going to the first or second, arguably best magnet school in the state of Louisiana. In the third grade, he came home, and he said, Daddy, I don't like science. I'm like, boy, you're out your mind. It's in your DNA. When your mama was pregnant, she talked about we need to play jazz, and we need to play, this classical music. I said, you play the classical music, but I was whispering Newton laws to her belly, son. It's in your DNA. He said, Daddy, the teacher I had last year, we did a lot of hands-on. The teacher this year, just look at the board. So that's when I went in my garage, and we started doing all these hands-on activities. Before I know it, my other son came out. Before I know it, the little kid next door came out. Before I know it, 20 kids was in my garage. That became problematic because I got 2 refrigerators, one in my house, one in my garage. So I couldn't drink my beer because I ain't know all them kids, right? They couldn't go home talking about I was in the garage doing STEM with Dr. Mackie drinking beer. Context is everything. So we had to get it out the garage. But I realized right then and there, my son came home a couple of months later. I said, son, what's your grades? He said, I got all A's. I said, son, that's what I expect of you, right? He said, Daddy, but my friends want to know how I know all this. I said, you tell them you do this in the garage with your daddy. He said, yeah, Daddy, but my friends need this. Right then and there, my son realized he was exposed to people and things his friends were not. Then in his heart of hearts, with empathy he must have got from his mom, he believed that if they were exposed to those people and things, they'll be just as bright as him. Right then and there, I realized, one, I was keeping my time, my talent, and my treasure to my own, like a lot of people, when we had something to offer the community. And 2, if he's at the best school in the state of Louisiana, and these are the magnet kids, and they not getting it, what about the other kids? So therefore, what we do when we train up all these college students, we go into schools. Now, I make deals with schools. The teacher teach the pedagogy. I'm not going to question whether or not they can teach force and motion, but I do question whether or not they can have a hands-on activity that clearly delineates to the kids what force and motion is and why it's very important in the world. So now we are partnering with the teachers to bring the engineering, the hard stuff, the real stuff, with this pedagogical stuff. And I think we're going to have to do that, right? We're training professionals. Professionals say they want to give back. So imagine now in all of our STEM classes in high schools, the teachers have an army of people to come in there to help them, to explain this stuff to kids. And again, we have kids right now, and I'm going to tell you this story, and then we can go. Hurricane Ida hit recently. So many hurricanes that hit us. Hell, I'm waiting on my floors to repair my floors from Hurricane Zeta that hit in October, and Hurricane Ida hit. Now my chimney in my front yard, my floor still tore up, my tree down, and they saying climate change ain't real. I don't know if it's climate change, but something really real. And the grid went out. The grid was out for 7 days. Y'all probably saw on the news, they say we weren't going to have power for days. Entergy, which is our local utility, they sponsor us. We're STEMNOLA powered by Entergy. Everybody on TV, everybody mad about the grid, everybody talking crazy. I got online and I wrote a very clear, coherent, easy to understand explanation of the grid. Then I wrote another explanation because the mayor was on there like, why they need to bury the pipe, bury the power lines and this and that. I wrote a very clear, coherent, able to understand explanation with pictures about why it's so difficult to bury the power lines. But then I took a video of kids we've recorded because we have a STEMNOLA day, a Saturday called the Power of Transmission. And I had a little boy and little girl on video explaining the grid. Explaining the grid. Now, they didn't know the equations. They don't know no voltage. They don't know a current equation. But when we work with them, these kids now have a basic understanding of physical phenomena and how the world works, that they can have conversations with adults that adults can't have. Now, when they understand it like that and they walk into the classroom, even if the teacher doesn't know and the teacher gives them equations, they're not intimidated by the equation because they know what it is. And that comes from us being there, pointing to these kids. The kids don't know this is STEM. I don't even use the word STEM with kids. You know, we have these days we call force and motion days. It's really cars. Come design, build, and race a car and win $50. And a little writing I have, and learn the laws of motion. Now, the academic people, the middle class people, is like, we're having a STEM Saturday on Newton laws, and nobody show up. We got up to 200 kids showing up because they want to build a car and race it. But then they learn Newton's laws. So we got to work with the teacher. We got to start using a new narrative to talk about this in a public and with families. And another example, my second son who's a junior in high school now, he came to me one Saturday, his mama said, tell your daddy. I said, something wrong, because I hear it. Go tell your daddy. When your mama said, go tell your daddy, something up. So he said, look, I don't want to come to STEM Saturday. I'm like, why you don't, boy? That's just a family business. What you talking about? He said, Daddy, I don't want to be an engineer. And I realized right then and there I was doing something wrong. If I've been giving this boy STEM from the womb, and now he rejecting it, I'm doing something wrong. And immediately right there I had to click, bam. And I said, son, this ain't about being an engineer. What you want to be? He said, I might want to be a lawyer or a politician. I said, I'm going to check your DNA, because I know you ain't my son. He said, well, you know, I want to use my voice, right? He's in theater like my brother. I'm like, y'all just some weak. Yeah, all that stuff. You want to fly across the stage, all right. So I had to think quickly. And I said, son, this is not about you becoming an engineer. I said, if you're that reporter that you want to be, I said, you got to think quickly on your feet, right? You got to understand a problem and be able to explain it. I said, if you're a lawyer, right, you got to be able to analyze the problem and write a brief or whatever. I said, so what STEMNOLA is giving you is these skills, right, that you're going to need, like critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. If you get these skills, then you can do whatever you want to do. Immediately I said, you want to be the spokesperson for STEMNOLA? And his eyes lit up. I said, every Saturday when the families come in, you study and then you explain to them what we're going to do today. Bam. Been there ever since. So that's what we have to do with teachers. Yes, we have to train teachers, but yes, we have to create a whole nother mechanism to support the teachers in the classrooms such that the kids can get it whether or not we got the teachers or not. And that's the work that we're doing, okay? Thank you all. Appreciate you. Thank you.